So the Las Vegas Raiders move on from Max Crosby, and I've been telling you guys that this was going to happen. And a lot of you told me down in the comment section that I was losing my mind. But I wasn't losing my mind. I told you that there was something different about this year. Max Crosby has never exhibited the amount of frustration that he has with the coaching staff and then I believe John Spytek than he did this year. Now, he didn't outright say, hey, trade me, I want out of here, but he did storm out of the building, and I know he tried to clean that up, but other reports, verified reports, say he did storm out of the building when he was told he was done for the season last year. So, what does this mean for the Las Vegas Raiders, and what does it mean for Baltimore? Well, for one, Baltimore is going to get a absolute leader in that locker room from day one. He's a veteran, he's proven, he's a Pro Bowler, and he is going to be an absolute nightmare for any offensive lineman that is going to have to go up against the Baltimore Ravens. So kudos to Baltimore, kudos to Max. He's going to go to a team that has a chance of going to the playoffs this year. That's what he has always wanted. Play in the playoffs and get a chance to go to a Super Bowl. So best of luck to him. However, what does this mean for the Raiders? Well, it means that we now no longer have an anchor on that defense. And so it's time for guys like Tyree Wilson to step up. I also believe that because the Raiders are moving over to that 3-4 defense, that it is time for the Raiders to re-sign Malcolm Koonce now. Sign him to a one-year deal and see how he is going to fare in this new 3-4 defense. And the reason why I say that is because he fits in a 3-4 defense much better than what he does in a 4-3 base. Now, this makes perfect sense as to why the Raiders moved on from Max, because he is a traditional defensive end, hand in the dirt kind of guy. He would have to go in a 3-4 defense back into coverage, covering tight ends. And listen, that's just not Max's game. And I think that this is another reason why Max was upset, because he knew that they were going to move over to a 3-4 defense, which means he would have to start backing off into coverage a lot more, something that he's not just used to. So we need athletic linebackers, and I think that the Raiders should make a move on Khalil Mack. Obviously, bringing him back has that nostalgia factor to it. Bringing him home to retire in the silver and black makes perfect sense. I don't know if he would want that or not, because there was some ill feelings towards the Raiders organization when he left. But if he doesn't have those feelings and he wants to come play his last year in football with the Raiders, it makes perfect sense. Because he is a veteran, he is still extremely explosive, just not nearly as longevity with him. You don't know if you're going to get a whole season out of him. So if you can get him for $7 million, it's going to work out perfect, because he's perfect for that 3-4 defense. And I think having Malcolm Koonce and having Khalil Mack on the same defense, on that same 3-4 defense, where they can bust back into coverage, they can also come and terrorize quarterbacks, it's going to make really perfect sense. Malcolm Koonce, again, he was a linebacker in college, just like Khalil Mack, went to the same school. These guys are bred for that 3-4 defense. Now, you can go into the draft as well. You can also go into free agency, and you can add some other pieces there. But I think what's really important here to note is that the Raiders got 2 first-round draft picks for the star of the team in Max Crosby, and they cannot blow it like they did with the compensation from the Khalil Mack trade almost 20 years ago. The reason is because we have a quarterback right now who's going to be Fernando Mendoza. We cut Geno Smith, so we know that you're bringing in Fernando Mendoza. He's going to be your guy. And you have to make sure that you're going to give him the protection necessary. Now, I think our offensive line can be good, and especially if you have good coaching and you have a good scheme like the RPO that Clint Kubiak is going to bring to the Raiders. So I'm okay with the offensive line right now, but it needs some upgrades. I'd love to see a Tyler Lindenbaum come in as center, JPJ stay over at guard, because he is a really good guard, even though his natural position is center, and I know he would like to get back to center. But you can't pass up on a guy like Tyler Lindenbaum. And then if you have him in there at center and you have JPJ at right guard and you have Colton Miller back at left tackle, that really only leaves you 2 questions, and that's left guard and right tackle. I think DJ Glaze, in the proper situation, is a good right tackle. Last year was not a good situation for him. The offensive line coach being the coach's son, that was a disaster. They had him playing wild, and that's not his game. If you're playing that RPO where he can use that size and that body, and you're going to go run heavy to where he can move people out of the pile, then I think DJ Glaze is going to be okay at that right tackle. But there are some right tackles in college right now that are going to come out that you could, go and draft. And then there's going to be some guys out there on the free agency. It's not really heavy on the right tackle situation right now in either the draft or the free agency. So I think if you're going to address the right tackle issue, I would probably do it with that extra first round draft pick next year, because there's going to be a better talent pool in the draft for the offensive line, in my opinion, and according to all the experts, because I'm not an expert, I'm just a guy on YouTube. Then I think that that's when you would want to address that tackle position, is probably going to be next year. As far as that extra draft pick goes right now, there are some guys that you could pick up with that Baltimore first round draft pick, and I think you'd probably go interior offensive lineman. I'm thinking Leone. The dude is an absolute beast, and I think he'll be there mid first round for the Raiders to snatch up. And that probably could solve our left guard issue right now by plugging him in there. And so now you have Colton Miller, you have Leone, you have Lindenbaum, and you have JPJ at right guard. So the only real question mark then is going to be whether or not DJ Glaze can adapt to this new offensive line scheme that is coming in with the Raiders today. Now, another big rumor that is out there that I am all in favor for, and I know that this is going to get a lot of people in the comments super upset, and that's bringing back Derek Carr on a 1-year contract. Derek Carr is now available he's an unrestricted free agent. He doesn't have any issues with New Orleans anymore. The Raiders can simply come and pick him up. He's already signaled his interest in doing so, and he is a decent quarterback even still today. I think the year off of football may have even done him some good. He may actually come back and surprise some people. But the reason why you want to bring back Derek Carr is you need that veteran quarterback presence. We cannot rely on Aiden O'Connell to be the starter week 1 if we want to win some games. I like Aiden O'Connell, but he kind of showed over the past couple of years that while he can win you some games, he can also lose you some games. And we want to make sure that the Raiders are not having a horrible season. We don't want to go, 2-15 this next season. Right? We want to win some games. We want to be competitive because you want to get that good start with your new head coach and a new quarterback being an older quarterback in Derek Carr to help mentor the young quarterback in Fernando Mendoza, who we already know John Spytek has said they have no intentions of starting him in week 1 if they draft him. If they draft a young quarterback, he is going to sit. That is the philosophy of John Spytek, Tom Brady, etc. So even though we're going to spend that first round draft pick, don't expect to see young Fernando Mendoza out there week 1. Bring in Derek Carr on a 1-year contract, mentor him, get him up to speed, make sure that he is ready to go. And when he is ready to go, he will have all of the assets necessary for him to be successful, which then just helps him to be more successful in the future. So I'm all for it. Bring in Derek Carr on a 1-year deal, let him retire as a Raider, as he should, and help young Fernando Mendoza. He's a high-quality dude. He's a locker room leader, and he's a decent quarterback. So the Raiders could, definitely be much more competitive than if you just throw in Aiden O'Connell. As much as I love Aiden O'Connell, I am now in the camp that he is nothing more than a backup quarterback at this point in his career. And that's why the Raiders aren't going to stick all of their eggs in his basket. They're going with the Fernando Mendoza, and I think that it just makes sense to bring Derek Carr. So let me know down in the comments. Do you love the idea, hate the idea, and let your emotions reign about the Maxx Crosby trade down in the comments below. By the way, just FYI, we are going back to just being the Raider D podcast. I did some crazy stuff because I have other channels, and I was trying to bring all the brands together with Daily Rumble, which is my other channels, and do Daily Rumble Sports. But you know what? My heart's just not into it. My heart is only with the Raiders. So if I'm going to cover sports, I've tried covering some other teams and stuff, and I just I don't want to do it. I have no motivation to do it. That's why I haven't been posting very much. So we're just going back to being a Raider D podcast because it's all I care about when it comes to sports, and that's all I'm going to cover from here on out. So guys, I'll see you back on the next RDP Official.